Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL. If you're new here, I like to do real-time, real-life amateur radio field activation videos. And my guess is there are going to be a lot of new people here today on the channel because I'm taking a look at the new Xiegu X6200 transceiver. I'm going to take a look at the radio, but also do a Parks on the Air or POTA activation. I'm here at the Blue Ridge Parkway Folk Arts Center, one of my favorite go-to sites when I don't have a lot of time but I want to do an activation. This is one of my favorite spots. Now, if you are new here, I'm not kidding when I say that my videos are real-time, real life. In general, I do not edit them at all, so they tend to be kind of long and they have no edits, so you kind of see everything warts and all. I don't have an outtake clip or anything like that because basically my entire video, you see everything. In order to make it a little easier to navigate the video, if there are sections you're not interested in, I always put chapters in the video. So if you just hover your cursor over the YouTube timeline, you'll be able to skip straight to the sections that you really want. And that should work out pretty well. So also, I should mention that one of the great things about my videos is I have no ads in them. So if you are looking at my videos, you're not going to be interrupted by ads. I turn off all that stuff in YouTube. The way I monetize my site is through my Patreon and Coffee Fund supporter network. And thanks to all of you who support me. I really appreciate it. I've got the X6200 today. And this is actually the second activation I've done with the X6200, but the first one was a proper prototype unit. So it was not actually a production run unit. And I did a 2-hour activation just to get my 10 contacts because the conditions were so poor that day. We were having an X-class flare. This has been like 2 weeks ago. We had an X-class flare and there was a radio blackout. So it took a while, but I did talk a lot about the radio and some of the quirks and things I found in it. I never made that video public on YouTube. Instead, I just kept it on my Patreon channel so Patreon people could see it. I just didn't want it to be public, mainly because that was a prototype radio. I found out later it was really a prototype radio. I was under the impression that it was just an early production run radio, but it was just a prototype. And in fact, within a week, Xiegu dispatched a production run X6200 to me, and that's what I have here in the pack. Now, I think they have the same firmware version, but we'll find out. So what I'm going to do first, and then before we talk about the radio, I'm going to go ahead and set up an antenna. I plan to put up just a random wire antenna here that would give the X6200 a fair shot at using the built-in ATU. See how well that works. Let me just set up everything here so maybe you can see it. What I'll do is kind of set up the camera here, and you can maybe watch me make a fool of myself trying to get this antenna in the tree. There we go. Hopefully that'll stand up, and hopefully my mics are working okay today so that you can hear me. I think I've got my 9-to-1 random wire antenna here. I hope I do. So first thing I'll do is just take my trusty Weaver Arborist throw line. By the way, I always put links to this stuff in the description and show notes. Show notes. It's not really show notes. What am I saying? I'm thinking of the Ham Radio Workbench podcast. I put a link to all this stuff in the description of the video here. And let me make sure that knot is good. Yeah, that knot's good. Let's see if I can get, I don't need it to be very high. I knew that was going to happen. It's hard to manage all of my glasses and things with this. I don't need it to be a very high antenna because this is only like 31 feet or so of radiator. As long as I actually brought that antenna with me. I left this morning kind of quickly. I've had a really super busy week. Yeah, okay, I think I'll use this branch right here. So I may move off camera with this, I don't know. We will see if you can still see me. Oh, the sun's in my eyes too. Okay, that easily got what I wanted. No problem. Okay, great. This will work perfectly because it's got enough height that it will 100% be a vertical. Now let's see, let's go find the rest of this kit that I'm going to use here. I've got packed away. There we go, let's make this a little taller here. Here's the X6200. I just put this in this, what's it called, an 8-case pack, which is mainly for the camera gear. And I'm going to use my ABR Industries cable. And what I'll do is toss it out that way. That'll work just fine. And the antenna, I'm going to use my Pactenna again, mainly because it's what I have packed with me. I also like to use a random wire antenna by Tufton, but this Pactenna is just like kind of one of my go-tos for random wire work. It's got a 9-to-1 on it, tends to work really well with radios, and it'll give the X6200 a chance to perform, to try to match. And this is a pretty easy antenna to match, so it won't be super challenging for it. I'll do that in future videos. Okay, and the trick is going to be finding a spot flat enough that I can keep this tripod up. There we go. So this is a radiator here, kind of carrying two wireless mics on me at the moment, because I plan to put one right next to the radio while I'm operating. I can tell now that there's going to be some really strong sunlight on that table as I operate. There's not a lot I can do about that. Hopefully it's not too high contrast. Okay, so this is a 31-foot radiator on this random wire antenna, along with a 17-foot counterpoise wire. You do not need the counterpoise wire. I just like using it. I've got it attached to it, so I'll use it, but I've used this plenty without a counterpoise wire. Let's go ahead and pull this guy up. So all I'm doing is just pulling this, and it's going to go straight into a vertical antenna configuration. I don't actually have this attached to a strong branch or anything. It's a very, very small branch that I'm using, but it's plenty big enough for this little small antenna. So there we go. Okay, got that boy. I have to move this camera, and then I don't know if I can get it to stay in place without falling over. There we go. If you fall over, I am sorry in advance. So what I do to hold this antenna up is I usually just tie my throw weight on like this, and then let me grab the end of my feed line here, and the throw weight kind of gives it just enough tension to kind of hold everything in place. Now I'm going to unwind my counterpoise wire and just throw it on the ground. All of this is kind of conspicuous, which I like, because it means that as I'm operating, it's less likely someone's going to just walk straight into the antenna, because these antennas kind of disappear when you're not expecting them. So now I'm just going to take this and string it out here. There we go. And we have a functioning antenna. Let me take a picture of this while I'm doing it, so don't forget. Yes, you even see me make the photos for my videos and my field reports. Let's go ahead and put down this nice Nemo pad. Why not? I've got it. It's not like this is wet this morning, but it's just nice to sit on a padded seat when you can. Okay, here we go. Let's get all this stuff out. Get the show on the road. So like I said, I just packed this in here because it was convenient for me. Okay, come on, backpack, there we go. Here we go. So this is the X6200. And like I said, the first one I had, turns out, was really just a prototype version. This is supposed to be representative of the production run. I think it's from the very first production run. So I'm kind of excited to give this a go and see how well it works. If you're not familiar with this radio or Xiegu products in general, you know, Xiegu's been making field radios now probably since about, correct me if I'm wrong, probably about 2016, 17, something like that. Pull this microphone out so it'll be here ready to go. And I have reviewed and owned the G90, the X5105, the X6100. In the end, I didn't keep any of those radios for the long term. I ended up selling them or trading them. And the reason why is because, frankly, I tend to gravitate toward even smaller, lighter weight gear. But this is a pretty lightweight radio. It's certainly, and along with the X5105 and the X6100, it's a very much an all-in-one radio in that it has a built-in battery. It has lots of functionality built into the radio, so that it's like a what I call a not just an all-in-one, but really a shack in a box. And it has the cool thing about the X6200 is, unlike the X6100, this actually has a removable battery pack, so you can press this in and pull the battery pack out. Well, let me just do it and I'll show you. So you get this slim battery pack that can be replaced. The 5105 and the X6100 did not have that, and I've opened up both of those radios at times, and getting to the radio and even, getting to the battery, and even just, to be honest, ordering the battery is kind of challenging. So it's nice that they have this replaceable battery pack, which I'm sure Xiegu will carry as they're as they're selling these. So that's nice. It also means, since you've got a replaceable battery pack like this, that it's very easy to carry a separate battery with you, and if you're running low on battery, then you can just pop in a new battery pack. Now, we'll tell you that in terms, and I think this is going to be consistent with the production models, it does take a long time to charge this battery pack with the supplied wall wart. It took mine, it took almost like a full day plus into the night sometime. I started charging it in the morning, and it took it through that evening. So I'm guessing it's something less than 24 hours, but it takes a long time to really fully charge the battery, at least according to the indicator on the front. I've also had roughly the same experience using it with a 13.8 volt DC power supply. So anyway, there you go. This radio is so new. I have not used it before in the field. It still has this little piece of plastic protection on the screen that I am going to promptly remove. Okay, now we got that out of the way. This radio is on loan to me through Radioddity. Actually, it's through Xiegu directly, but Radioddity helped facilitate everything. Radioddity is a sponsor of QRT.com, so in the spirit of full disclosure, there's that. I have no other relationship with Xiegu as a company. Oh, and speaking of the name Xiegu, I say Xiegu, some people say Xiegu, some of my friends in the UK call it Xiegu, and in France as well. So people call it different things, but I call it Xiegu, and that's probably what you'll hear me say, so I'm not using all three of those different pronunciations of it that we use. This radio, I took it out to the field, and like I said, I did an activation with a prototype and discovered a few quirks with it. This particular radio will still have some of those quirks because they haven't updated the firmware yet. They're working on a firmware revision right now, as I shoot this. In fact, I just got confirmation this morning of the items that they're including in the firmware revision, which is 3 of the major ones that I had noted in the prototype. This is kind of typical of Xiegu, at least from my experience, is that they roll a product out and they start doing firmware revisions after it's actually in production, which is a little different than other companies who usually beta test a radio, try to have a nice solid firmware build as the radio hits the market. So there are less bug reports and stuff, but Xiegu doesn't do it that way. They kind of push things to production and then they sort out any issues later as users start getting them. So my job here is to actually find all the issues I can so that a lot of the firmware bugs are fixed in firmware in advance of you purchasing yours. I have no clue what the production run is right now, like when people start receiving them or any of that. I have no clue of any of that stuff. I don't have any insight into that at all. But I do know that Xiegu is working on this radio right now, and hopefully it'll be out and about soon in the market. What else? Let's go ahead and turn this on. One thing I've discovered with this radio, so what the deal is with the prototype, this lens here, there's actually, I don't know if you can even see this, but where it says Xiegu here, the name, in the prototype version, there's a green LED, a green and red LED, and they were buried in there pretty hard to the point you could barely see them. They really did fix this in the production run. I'm super happy about that. But the deal is you press and hold this until the light turns green. Solid green. You can let go. Now it's going to start booting up, and hopefully you can see this. There's a little bit of glare on the screen, of course. It's a high contrast morning, and it takes it roughly 20 seconds to boot up. And it actually takes it a little while. Even after it's boot up, there's still stuff going on in the background, so it'll say power on initiation. Please wait. And so there's still more initiation it's doing in the background to set things up. So just be patient with it. Likely some of these things are going to sort themselves out too with time and with firmware revisions. Now, just like first of all, one thing I will say that I love about this radio, and we're going to experience what the radio is like here in a second, but the screen on this is exceptionally nice. This must be an OLED screen. The darks are super dark. There's really nice contrast, and I've taken this out. I took the prototype out in full sunlight to kind of show what it looked like when I did that, and it was exceptionally, it's still very easy to read even in full sunlight. The sunlight will kind of saturate it and everything, but it was still easy to read. And I think they really knocked it out of the ballpark with the screen itself. I think they did a wonderful job with that. Otherwise, the ergonomics are actually really, really similar to the X6100. You have these like general settings that are here that you use to check on things like, the preamp. You can turn the preamp on and off. There's an attenuator, AGC. You can change the TX power. Now, this is interesting. It's showing the TX power at 5 watts. Now, earlier, this was... let me move over there and look at this, because earlier, whoops, I did that wrong. I did that incorrectly. Let's see, general, no, setting 1. Okay, AGC, slow, fast. Oh, it had me on AGC. Let's move over TX power. So it actually shows 5 watts as the top. Earlier it was 4 watts of power. So maybe they have fixed this in the production run unit. We'll find out. 5 watts is typically what I use to do an activation. 5 watts, or I thought it was 4 watts, but is actually the max that it'll do on battery power. Now, when you add an external 13.8 volt power supply or battery, even an external battery, it'll go much higher than this, but it only do, I think it doubles whatever the power is when you add an external power source. We won't be doing that today. Now, I've got to be honest, I have not changed a lot of settings on this one. I did on my prototype. I haven't had this radio for long, and I've been busy after I received it. So we're going to have to set up some things here together. But basically, the menu system, how they do this menu, is super similar to the X6100. In fact, I haven't owned an X6100 in like a year and a half, but to me it looks absolutely identical. Even under the modem settings here, that all looks the same. Everything here looks the same to me. In fact, what we'll go ahead and do is change modem so that the mode is CW. There we go. And I think that will allow me then to change the message memories. I did not want that to happen. Whoops. Okay, I didn't have an easy way to stop that. What I wanted to do is change the messages in here while I'm thinking about it. And I've got to get in here and remember how that is done. This is one of the confusing things to me about the voice calls. This has voice messages. I'm actually wondering if something has changed since these are just for channel memories here, since I last used it, but I don't think so. Under app and under modem, this is where you can change. I do have 21 words per minute, which is what I plan to operate. And under messages, there we go. Okay. Well, I'm going to hit up the keyboard here, and I'm going to put in very slowly my CQ message. So I'll put C. Did that do that? There we go. Okay. So I'm going to put in CQ. And this is an interesting thing about it I discovered. I have to close this and hit space, then go back into the keyboard thing. Now they may fix this in the firmware actually. CQ POTA. Whoops. So that would be P. It's a little touchy. O T. The good thing about this and using this little keyboard, now if you had an external keyboard hooked up, this would be a lot faster. Let's be honest here. Close. Space. And then keyboard. I'll put DE. Why not? DE. Close. Space. This seems cumbersome, but I have a hunch they're going to put a space back on this keyboard because I think the X6100 had one. Okay. And now I have to go to numbers 4. And now SWL. SW. A little too fast. L. Enter. Close. Save. Okay. That message is in there, I hope. Okay, let me go back into the keyboard and backspace this once. There we go. And now hit close and hit save. It's not showing my message there for some reason, but the message is there. Okay, and I'll show you how that works if this all goes well. Let's go ahead and get the rest of the stuff hooked up. I am obviously going to do some CW here at first. I don't know if I'll get some single sideband in right now or not. If I don't, I'll get it in later on today. I plan to maybe do another activation today if all goes well. Okay. And I'll talk to you about some of the known issues here. One of the biggest ones is that the keyer, the electronic keyer is just, it has some timing issues. And Xiegu's working on this. So don't worry, they'll get this sorted out. This is exactly what happened with the X60, or the G90, the X5105, the X6100, the G106. This happened to all those radios. They all had issues with the keyer when they first came out, and they were fixed by Xiegu. It's kind of funny because I would assume that keying would be something that you could just move from one radio to another so they'd have the same kind of keying, but maybe it has to do with this is a different radio design. I don't know. Let's see. BRP. Today is the 11th of June, 2024, and this is the X6200 and Pactena. I'll know what that is when I see it later. We're going to start on 40 meters CW. And 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we're at 1300 hours right now. And let's move this down. So this has a very similar, people have been asking about these expansion ports and stuff. I don't really know anything about these right now. I don't know what they're used for yet, and I'll find out from Xiegu and let you know. Okay, now I will need to use the ATU, and let's see if it's, first of all, you press it once to engage it. Now the ATU is on. You can see it here, hopefully on the screen where it says ATU. And then to tune, I just press and hold. Well, it must have a good, yeah, it's got a good SWR, like basically 1-to-1. Okay, good. So that was quick and quiet. Gosh, I didn't even hear that thing tune. I'm going to turn this audio up. Now, I did find that with the prototype version of the X6200 that the audio from the internal speaker is not super loud. Woo! The side tone's loud though. Let's turn that down. Key, tone level. Nope, gotta do it with this. We'll leave it at 45. Okay. Okay, now we'll go to, what I'm going to try to do is use, you'll hear me have problems forming a C, a K, and an N. Those are three of the letters I struggle with the way the keying is right now, but that'll be sorted out, I'm sure, here pretty soon. Okay, let's see. Now I've got to remember how to do this. It's tricky how you use the CW message memories. You have to go back into modem. So you go into app, then you go to modem, make sure it's still on CW, then you go to message, and now it shows you the messages. So I can click this. Okay, that's sounding good. So if you've got these messages out here, you've got up to 5 memories that you can use, and that's kind of nice. So I could program one with like RR thank you, 72s, DEK4SWL. I could also do one with my park in it. Sometimes, especially when you're doing a park to park, it can help to have that preloaded. So you can see that it turns red. This little indicator light turns red here. Hopefully there's some action. I have no clue what the propagation's like today. It's been so poor lately that I just always expect it to be bad. Let's see if I'm being spotted, first of all. Let's make sure I'm being spotted. Let me do a picture of doing. So you can see a glare, even as I take those photos, you can see a glare on the screen, but actually, I'm looking at the readout here too, where it's to the kitchen logs. Okay, so it's interesting. The side tone level, even though you set the side tone level, it still varies when you change the AF gain, so it's not independent of AF gain. Okay, wait. Was that an H or an S? Is an H. Oh, it's KM. Okay. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. That's with the volume at 100%. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little off my rhythm here. I can't hear. I feel like this is super loud. I had to turn the squelch back down to 0. The RF gain all the way up. There we go. Turn it all the way up. I realized I had the RF gain down a little bit. That may account for some of the lack of signals there. Is there an E after that? Okay, so I am seeing an E there. Let's go ahead and hit this. I didn't want the side tone being so loud I was like waking up the entire park with this thing blasting. Now I can tell here from the camera that you can't see this very well. I can actually see. Good to get you in the logs there, buddy. I botched that up. I was trying to tell him to repeat. Did I get you there, buddy? Or did it just wipe out? I couldn't hear the audio. I don't know if you noticed this, but the audio sounded kind of muffled. And I was paying attention to something off to the side. Someone's walking here right behind me. And I just kind of missed what he said there. When I go back later, I'll hear it. Audio is not spectacular, but it could be band conditions too. Oh boy, I can't hear that. Is that right? Oh, I wish the filter could go wider on this. This is one of my gripes about the radio, actually. And I'm going to find out if this can be done. But like, the widest filter is 500 hertz by default. I don't know if these are mechanical filters that you can't widen beyond that or what inside, but I couldn't find a way to widen the filter. So let me go back to message, and I've got to go back into, I think, app modem. It's on CW. Now I can hit message. Now it'll show me the right one. Okay, sorry, WB8 question mark, question mark, question mark. I think it's the QSB taking us all out. See, when I try to hit a CQ, when I hit the C, it'll sometimes send a B. Ooh, that's a strong signal. I'm having to ride the volume today. can turn up the volume while you're doing the keying, which is kind of nice. Okay. Okay, wait. Nice to get you. Whew. Slugging it out a little bit this morning. So I'm getting good contacts. There's enough people out there, but the QSB is really, really rough. I heard an N just now. It's tough. Let's go up to the 30 meter band here. Okay, so another thing, so a few notes here before I move to 30 meters. A few notes. First of all, I don't know if you can see, but I've got the little decoder working, and it's pretty good. Like if I've got a good, I've been trying to look at it. To be honest, I don't look at decoders when I'm doing CW. I don't know about you, but frankly, I can't do that. When I look at it, it screws up my my comprehension of CW at the same time, so I usually don't look at it. But I've been glancing up at it when I've been doing automatic CQs and stuff to read some of the copy, and the copy is pretty accurate if I've got a good signal, but we've been having so much QSB today, I don't know. One thing I'm not crazy about is the speaker in this. It's not wonderful. Now, I didn't do it today, but I will bring an external speaker and see how it sounds with that. That may improve it greatly. Field radios are not known for having the best speakers on the market or anything like that. I mean, usually you get a better speaker in a tabletop radio, but this one sounds kind of tinny, and with the DSP artifacts and some other things that are going on, it can make the copy sound a little muddy. I don't know if you're hearing that so well through this system. Again, I'm looking through the camera here as I'm doing this, and I can tell that the screen's kind of hard to read over here, but in real life, it's easy to read. I have no issue with it at all. Even with the sun on it, I can still read it because there's enough contrast, things kind of pop out. And they've done a pretty good job with their graphics here so that everything is easy to read. I am wearing my glasses. Without my glasses, and I need readers, I can still read most of this. I can't read the screen copy very easily down here at the bottom, but I can read the volume, the CW zooms off, I can tell what frequency it is. I mean, that stuff's pretty clear, and I need readers in order to read. So, okay, let's make sure we're in the right mode here. That's CW, okay. There we go, regular CW mode. I'm in the widest filter setting. I haven't heard anybody here on 13. I will say that the encoder, this dimple isn't the easiest thing to use. It makes it kind of jerky. I prefer just putting my finger around the outside of the encoder and moving it. I don't use this dimple at all. That is one thing I found out too. I don't like how when you leave the message memories that are loaded up for CW to do something like change the filter width or do something else, that it'll flake out on you and you can't go back into it without going into the modem. You have to go into the modem app so that it shows that it's key, then go back to messages. So there's like a procedure you have to go through. So like, for example, if I'm here just in general settings, or let's say general setting 1, if I have to go in here to adjust something like turn on and off the preamp or change the power output and I exit, if I go back into messages, then the message is not going to work. It shows it, but it won't send it. And that's really confusing. What you have to do is go into app, modem, and its CW's already selected, then hit message. Now it'll show you your messages. So that's the way it works. Let's see if anybody's on 10113 and continue this activation. It's kind of a quirky thing, Xiegu. I don't think that's going to be fixed in firmware because it's been this way with the X6100 as well. It didn't get any of that I was sending right then, but who knows why. Wish I could push it up about that much here so you could see it a little bit easier. I'm sorry, this is so high contrast here, it's kind of hard to read this. I'll show you the previous page, but of course all of this will be in my full field report on QRPer.com. But you can pause this if you want to see it. So I'm going to hop back over here to this band. So what I'm doing right now is sending out my CQ a couple of times to get the reverse beacon network to pick me up. Whoops, sorry. Let's see. I don't mean to bash you around there. So it's showing me here. Let's refresh this. One of the great things about this particular spot, see, it's already got me. RBN 17 dB, that's a good sign. I don't think I'm going to have enough time to do both CW and SSB at this activation, but my next one I will. Very strong this time, buddy. And the angle of the feet is perfectly fine. Oh. My good buddy Brian. It's good to get Alan in here too, another good friend. W2AEW, you got to check out his YouTube channel. It's amazing. We always send our greetings to each other's dogs. His dog Sophie's a sweetheart of a dog. Yep, you're in Indiana. You know what? I forgot to tune. Oh my goodness, I forgot to tune. But this SWR is like a 3-to-1. Using the tuner. Okay. Now I got a 1-to-1, 1.3-to-1 it looks like, so that's excellent. So I was sitting here, I was using 3-to-1, and it was working fine. Nope, nope, nope. I'm looking for EWH. Boy, I really hosed that up when I wrote this down. I should have known that was W8EWH. Sometimes when things are disconnected in my head, I don't. So now you were hearing WX9X breaking in a whole lot there. They probably couldn't hear me super well, but they probably also couldn't hear the other station. I'll work a couple more here and then I'll call it quits this morning because I need to go back. My daughters need to be across completely to the other side of town here in a couple hours. Okay, wait, I missed that. Is it KB? Okay, wait. There we go. I should have given you a 5.9. You actually are much stronger than that. Okay, wait, Western New York, is that right? I'm sure there's more action on 20 meters as well, but I'm not going to go there. Nobody's really there. Okay. I'll turn this down right now and take a couple shots here. I never want to forget to take shots of my logs. I do this so that if you're watching along and you want to read the logs, it's just a much cleaner copy doing it this way than sometimes it is on video. Video is hard to do with variations in lighting and everything else. But I can say that overall, this was a really good experience. The keying will be sorted out. You probably heard me make mistakes with keying, and of course there's probably some of that mine, just me, but to be honest, a lot of it too is just that awkwardness with the electronic keyer right now, but they'll sort that out. I'm convinced of that because they've done it so far with every other radio that they've released to market. Again, screen, easy to read. Overall, I think the buttons, I like to have all these tactile buttons, frankly. I love my IC705, and I think some of the on-screen functionality is really nice, but I'm actually not too crazy about having that kind of screen in the field. I like it in the shack better, but I prefer having tactile buttons. That said, Xiegu, and I don't feel like I'm commenting, I'm trying not to make any comments about things I think they're going to be changed, because this is, very early days, I guess, for this radio. But I don't think they're going to change the hierarchy of how they do their top level and lower level menus. I'm not too crazy about the ergonomics of it in a way, because, for example, like right now, I'm hitting general to get back to the main settings. You have to click a setting, and when you're in this, in order to change, whoops, sorry about that, in order to change things like the power, like I always forget this. Yeah, you use the encoder. You can also use the multifunction knob down here as well. The multifunction knob, by the way, what I'm going to do is, no, I'll leave it hooked up to the antenna just in case I make a mistake, and I'm going to pull off my key here. So the multifunction knob here, if you can see this, I don't know, is, there's like an inner and an outer ring on this, and they both are separate and functional. The volume control, AF gain, RF gain are identical in looks, but this one is only one knob. It just looks like it's two. And that really got me for a while, because I can't sometimes tell the difference when I'm doing this and I'm paying attention to the screen or listening, and I'm working with the outer ring. When I first got this radio, I was assuming the outer ring might be the squelch and RF gain, and the inner was the AF gain, but it's not that way at all. You press the button, you press the control in order to change it from squelch to RF gain to volume or AF gain, and it cycles through all three of those. Now, when I was working with the radio here, I had turned down the RF gain. I forgot I did this. I've only used this radio maybe a total of 15 minutes at home before I came out here. And this was actually this weekend. Was it Saturday or something? I can't remember now. And I mainly just hunted a couple of stations, some SOTA stations and stuff with it. And that day, with band conditions and noise and stuff, I ended up turning down the RF gain so I could hear the signals a little bit better with the radio. I forgot I'd done that, and so my RF gain was down a little bit, which is the reason why my side tone sounded so insanely loud when even the band conditions weren't all that loud. But even then, when I have the volume turned all the way up to 100%, I just find that it sort of distorts a bit. You can hear that, which isn't uncommon for a radio. It's nice to be able to turn it up, but the audio just lacks any sort of good fidelity. My KH1 is comparable, but the KH1 is also a teeny tiny handheld radio. I would have thought maybe they could do just a teeny bit more to improve the audio. Xiegu, in my opinion, doesn't place quite as much emphasis on audio as some of the other manufacturers do. They place it more on the different features that they add and its capabilities, which it is a super capable radio, there's no question. Obviously, I had this on the air for probably, let me see, my camera time here is 74 minutes, so I'm guessing I was on the air. Oh, I can just check my logs. So I started at 1:19 and I ended at 1:58. So we're talking about what, 1:19. So basically a little under 40 minutes that we were operating here or was it 40? Yeah, 39 minutes, is that right? I can't do math this morning. My brain is fried. I haven't been getting enough sleep lately, with helping my sisters move and all these other things going on. But basically, I was on the air, for a fair amount of time. The battery still got, it looks like, based on this indicator here, it's still got some time left on it. And I like that. That's it seems like this battery pack will take you through probably a couple of activations. The radio is not warm hardly at all. You can feel a little warmth up here up top, where obviously the finals must be up here somewhere, and it's a little warm, but it's not crazy hot. Now, I don't have an external battery hooked up. The next time I take this radio out, I will hook it up to an external battery, and I will run it at full power to test it. And I'm going to use this Tufton lithium-ion battery the next time I go out, and I'll also be doing some single sideband with it. So look for that in an upcoming video. I'm going to try to push this one to the front of the line, by the way, just so people who are interested in the X6100 can take a look at this. So yeah, ergonomics, I'm never as crazy about that with Xiegu, but their product line, I think this retails for around $750 US. I may be wrong about that. I haven't checked it lately, but the price is right. I do prefer this to the X6100, I think. I haven't had it out long enough, but I like the screen slightly better. The X6100 screen was pretty darn good. This one's even better, in my opinion. I like the fact it has these little side rails here to protect the front cover. That means I don't have to really make an external case of any sort for this radio. Not that I'd necessarily do that anyway, but it doesn't really need anything extra, and that's kind of nice. Some people have complained, though, that they don't want these. They just stick out and it makes the radio bigger, but it doesn't add that much mass to the radio, I don't feel. So I think it's worth it. It's nice because I can put my radio upside down like this, and the side rails stop it from doing anything weird. Again, I don't know what these ports are here. I'm going to undo those at home, but I'm not sure that if there's like plugs underneath it or whatever. I need to check with Xiegu. Everybody's been asking me about it. The controls at the top, while we're looking at it, band controls up and down, and then the mode. Now this is really quick with your fingers. Like, you just go over here, and I know when I feel these two that I'm band up, band down. I know that if I want to go in CW mode, I hit here. If I want single sideband, I hit here. Back to CW. I like that instead of cycling through the different ones. That's kind of nice. It's easy to see. This one, these are the ones I don't use as often. The ATU is in the middle. It's the middle of these three. And another one I use is the FST, which is basically the fast tuning. So you can click this to change where the cursor position is, and this is usually where I like the cursor. The tuning is adaptive, so the faster you move it, the faster it goes, and the slower you move, the slower it goes. Let me see if I go into modem, if it's decoding this right now. Let's go to app modem. And it doesn't seem that it's doing it right now. I don't know why, but anyway. Anyway, let's turn this back down. So all those things I really like. I think these legs on this radio are nicer than the ones in previous units. They feel a little more solid, and I like that. The startup and shutdown times are pretty extended, in my opinion. All in all, you're almost waiting on about 30 seconds for it to do both of those functions, and it doesn't really want you to rush that. One note in the manual says, at least in this preliminary version of the manual, says what you shouldn't do is turn on the radio, and as soon as it comes on, immediately press and hold to turn it off, because obviously you could see when I did this, and let's turn it off right now and you'll kind of get an idea. So press and hold that until I hear a click. And now it's starting the shutdown process. This light's still green, that light went off. It looks like it's shut down. I'm still going to wait a little bit though to make sure. I'll go ahead and show you these ports while I'm waiting. So it has two different USB ports for host and for, I guess, development. I don't know. I don't know which one of these exports. I don't know if this exports IQ. I don't think it exports IQ. It has a place for a card, which is really nice. By the way, this is Wi-Fi, and I think think it'll do maybe even Wi-Fi firmware updates. I'll have to correct myself if I'm wrong on that. There's a speaker, a key, an accessory port, and then of course the mic port, which, you know, is actually one of the nicer, I like those types of mic ports. On this side we have an antenna, and we have the input voltage, which goes anywhere from 9 to 15 volts, which is kind of nice. Let's turn this on, and let's get going here and see how. So what I do is press it, and they say press it until you see the Xiegu light up. See, it does a little blink, and that doesn't count. Have to press and hold it until it's blink and solid. Now it'll turn on. You can hear it clicking. I don't know if you can hear that. Just little tiny clicks. Oh, speaking of clicks, people have asked me about the relays. I have not messed with a Xiegu product yet that actually has full break-in QSK. Now see, it's not completely done yet. It's probably going to put up this power on initialization, so you need to wait on that. So it's still booting up. And in fact, after it does this, everything freezes for like 2 seconds, and then you're good to go. See, it's kind of frozen right now, and now you're good to go. And that's just the way that works. Now, of course, this radio, oh, so like it was, before I get distracted by everything here all around me, there's all kinds of stuff going on around me right now. In terms of, what was I saying? Yes, the relay clicking. You do hear it click, but the relays are super quiet. So if you don't like mechanical relays that are loud, this is good. This has mechanical relays, but they're not very loud. You cannot, however, get full break-in QSK with this radio. They may say QSK, but it's not really QSK that's full break-in. When you go into the keyer thing, you can change the you can change it from auto left, the words per minute, which iambic mode you want to use, the tone and the tone level, and then you press this again for key, and it takes you to the second menu. QSK time, I have it set for 150 milliseconds. I think I want to set it to 300, give it just that much more time, maybe even slightly longer, because if you lower this down, it doesn't really, after you're below like 100 milliseconds, I don't really notice any difference hardly at all in the response. If anything, the response is better 100 milliseconds and higher, because there's some AGC recovery and some other things that are happening with the audio when you're keying that quickly with that kind of relay time. So if you're a CW operator, and this may at the end of the day have a little bit to do, the reason why I don't carry a whole lot of Xiegu products in my shack for long is because as a CW operator, it's just not quite as good as like the other products out there, like Xiegu, ICOM, Elecraft, Kenwood, and some of the kit radios I use that are designed specifically for CW. The keying, you can tell that CW is probably not their forte. I think really these are digital modes, and single sideband are their real key market. But people do use these for CW, and you certainly can, especially once the keyer is kind of sorted out here soon. I actually like having the ability of full break-in QSK. That's what I tend to run. Some of my radios that don't do it very well, I do like I do this one, and increase the recovery time or the relay time to something like, or the delay, the relay delay, up to something like, 100 to 300 milliseconds. So it's not clicking as much. And it gives the radio a little bit easier time to work with that speed. It's just a little more comfortable to hear. I haven't tinkered with the AGC on this yet. You probably did notice some recovery time after I send, the volume would come back up kind of slowly. It's because I have it on auto. I can probably set it to fast and it'll change that. And to do that, I think I just go into the general, go in here to AGC and click fast. So I'm gonna set it this way, so the next time I'm in the field, it'll actually be set to that so I can remember. Yeah, so let's take this out on another activation. I've seen a lot of people with videos so far, and there'll be like a bazillion of these videos once these start hitting the market. But I thought I would do it from a CW perspective today, and also just talk about the radio in general. Later on today, if the stars align and I get to do another activation, I plan to do CW and probably single sideband. The tricky part is where I'm planning to do the single sideband activation, I don't really have good internet service, so I've got to work out something to have someone spot me on single sideband when I'm out there operating. Another thing I've noticed that they fixed from the prototype, when I would touch the screen, I was getting a little bit extra noise in. It's not doing that now, which is kind of nice too. They really did fix a lot from that prototype. I'm not quite sure why they sent it to me for just a short period of time. Yeah, so let's go ahead and turn this off and pack things up. Let that do its thing and finish off. And we'll go ahead and stick this other mic in my pocket so it doesn't separate the audio out weirdly. Let me take a couple pictures here real quick while I'm thinking about it. I do love this setup of the PAC-10, and you could tell it had no problem at all tuning this. I didn't expect it to. PAC-10 antennas are, this is with a 9-to-1, which is not hard for almost any antenna tuner to handle. What'll be a better test sometime is to use just 2 wires, and I'll do that too. And I'm sure that this ATU can do that, because if there's one thing I've learned about Xiegu is they make incredible ATUs. Their ATUs are excellent. So it's usually very wide range and they function very well. You really do get a lot for the money in one of these. But if I'm being honest, I still prefer like my KX2 and some of my other radios. But there's a massive price difference between, this is probably like almost half the price of a KX2, sorry. So there's a really big price difference. And some people, frankly, I get a lot of messages from people saying, hey, I just don't want to spend a lot of money for a field radio because I'm going to be taking out, bashing it around. And to me, this is a better deal. And it is. For $750, you're getting a lot of radio with some compromises, but a lot of radio. Okay, and let's grab the Velcro strap before I let go of this so that keep it all together. See, if you are new here and you've made it through this much of the video, congratulations. If you haven't managed to fall asleep yet, I always say that my videos are a really good cure for insomnia. But you know what? The reason I like these, and I'm really encouraged, I had so many people come to me at Hamvention and 4 Days in May and say, don't change a thing, don't ever change your videos, we really like this format. And I think it's just because it's not highly edited or anything, it's as if you're here with me. I feel like you're here with me when we're doing this. I really, really do. And this is the real life. Like when you're doing an activation, this is how long it takes. This is how long it takes to wind the RG316. You know, it's just the way it is. And it's how I like doing it. Because I tend to watch videos like this myself. Stick that here. Let's go ahead and put the X6200 up in here. I'm just going to stick this time in the bag with the X6200 because I have to be a little careful with this. It's not my radio. This is on loan. So I want to be a little conscious of taking care of it. See, I don't actually like this spray at all. I threw it in here last minute for a place I was going the other day. But that particular one has a fragrance I just don't like. I don't like DEET to begin with. I use it, but I don't like it because if it gets on things that are plastic and sometimes on your clothing, it's really rough on it. What I like to use instead is permethrin and also my Thermacell. But the Thermacell, I really only use it if I know I'm going to be in the field for a while, not just like a quick activation, because those little Thermacell pads are not inexpensive. This went so much higher up in the tree than I needed it to. I wish I'd have had Hazel with me here this morning. She would have liked this. However, there've been like 100 squirrels around here, and she would have been going crazy the whole time, tugging and pulling to get to the squirrels. I wonder if I could take her out this afternoon. Maybe I can take her out this afternoon. I might do that. Got to think of everything. The reason I don't take her out sometimes is I could have this morning, but she was asleep, and frankly, I just didn't wake her up. But Hazel, I don't like leaving her in the car. She's my dog, in case you're new, don't know Hazel. I don't like leaving her in the car, and we've had really hot days. That said, today is beautiful weather. Like, this feels so amazing this morning. It's about 55 degrees Fahrenheit this morning, which is very moderate. I don't know what that is in Celsius. I'm guessing here maybe 20 or something, 22, I don't know. And at the same time, right before I left to come here, my buddy Vlado told me that he had just gotten his new Macedonian call. He's in Macedonia at the moment, at least for another week, and it was 40 degrees Celsius. 40 degrees Celsius. That's insanely hot. Oh my goodness. So I feel pretty darn lucky I'm here. Though I would love to be in Macedonia right now. That said, I'd put up with the heat just to kind of hang out in Macedonia for a bit with Vlado. So let's see if I can fit this in here as well. Yes, I can. I love this Go rucksack. It is the bee's knees. Such a tough bag. Holds everything I need for my activations. And yes, it's expensive, and I'm a bag snob, pack snob, so that's just how I am. But it does the job now. Let me see here. I see some trash on the ground. I'm gonna grab one of these. I need to refill my bag here. Nitrile gloves. And I'm gonna pick up some of this stuff before I go. I always carry these in the bag. I don't always put this on camera though, but I can't stand seeing all the trash. Let me close this up. You don't have to watch me pick this up, but I feel like we need to be good stewards of our parks. And so many people just leave crap out. And I've actually said this before in previous videos, but I've been out collecting garbage before after an activation, and one of the park employees saw me, and they knew. I made a point to tell them that I'm a POTA activator and I'm a ham radio operator, and I feel like it leaves a good impression because if they see you doing it, it puts in their minds like, hey, these ham radio people aren't all that bad to begin with, or as we thought. So, do I see any more over here? No, let me go grab. It's not a lot, but it just makes it so much more pleasant. I'm going to go check over here at this site too, right before I finish. Here's something. I don't like, this nitrile glove I'll reuse. I don't like throwing away a whole bunch of gloves either, but this one I can reuse. None of this stuff's wet or all that nasty. I just don't like picking it up with my bare hands if I can help it. Although I do sometimes. There we go. It's a little bit better than it was. Whoops. There's a bit more. It's a little bit better than it was. Okie doke. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this little foray with the X6200, and if you've got any questions about the radio, leave it in the comment section. And now, again, haven't had it that long. This is not even close to a review, so you're not going to see me put that anywhere in the description. It's just not. I don't really review products until I've had them for a few weeks and have used them a lot. So I've got much more time I need to spend with this radio before I do a review. But if you have any comments or questions about the stuff I did in this video, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, thank you so very much to my Patreon and Coffee Fund supporters. You guys are amazing. You make this possible, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Go out there and be kind to one another, because all we got on this planet's each other. Take care, and until next time, 7 twos.